Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is between Christmas and New Year. It's Monday, the 30th of December, and it's just a minute past 6. I'm a little bit tardy this morning because I'll be honest, I was a bit late because I've been chuntering to Dew. Now, if somebody can share him, that'll be lovely. That's all right. We'll see you, whoever's here for however long. It's great to see you. We are live on Facebook, on Clubhouse, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. Yeah, there we are. That's what I've got to today because I'll be honest, I didn't have my clothes on 5 minutes ago and my carer was already at the door. Do you know what? It's a good job that I'm accountable to things like that because otherwise I reckon I'd probably get a bit of a monkey and be, I don't know, lazing around till goodness knows when. So I think that in spite of the fact that I've got a bit of a difficult throat this morning, I just want to say good morning and happy in between the Christmas and the New Year malarkey. And listen, you don't know where the milkman is, not that he comes anymore. You don't know whether the postman's coming, but you can be guaranteed that Timu will deliver. Won't they today? They deliver every day. They're like some sort of massive mechanical monster. It's a bit like Alibaba. I've got to say that UPS and all the other deliveries are chuffed that Timu exists. And I think Timu was somebody that Dragon's Den didn't invest in, I think, from my memory. Anyway, we're definitely sure that Timu will deliver, but what the hell else is happening on this Monday the 30th of December? Except, of course, this morning I decided it was already New Year's Eve. Now, I think that's fantabulous because what that means is that yesterday I had delivered all the things I need for New Year's Eve. So there we are, we're done. And I'm a day ahead, which is interesting considering that yesterday I was pretty poorly in bed. Anyone that spoke to me yesterday thought that I was on death's door. But handily, I have a few tricks like the reishi capsules that I take and the coffee that I drink. And I swear to you, that is definitely something that smashes my ill health out the ballpark. So does having a hot shower and then a cold shower. That sounds a bit icky when you're poorly, but I promise you that changing the temperature of your body is an important thing. And when you do it, it means amazing things. Hey, good morning. Would you like to speak before you run?
I have a question.
Yeah, go on.
Well, I have to be honest. I love you, but sometimes I don't understand what the hell you're talking about. First, you talk about your parent hanging out in your no clothes, but we'll leave that aside for a minute. What do you have to do to prepare for New Year's Eve? Like, what do you mean? I'm being totally serious.
Okay, so New Year's Eve, I have people to go and see, and so I have a
I mean,
bottle.
you've been invited to parties, or like,
And people that are coming to see me, so I've bought a bottle of
oh,
bubbly so that when
so
they
you're having
come,
people over.
well, both ways, I'm going out and they're coming over, so I'm just making sure I've got in the things that I'd like to have in for that event.
Okay, okay. No, no, that I can understand. I mean, I
Mail.
guess the way I would think of it is like typically like people here would be like, okay, I mean, I guess it's different if you're like a couple and you're going to some fancy place that has a New Year's thing, at the restaurant or you're there. But
I've
like,
done that with my kids. That's been something you still have to, well, I still have to
yeah,
prepare
it's very
for.
expensive. But
Things
I'm just saying,
like,
like,
things
the
like,
the drop in is less so because it's like you don't know if you're gonna go out. How do your friends know if you're home? You know?
like exactly, but then it depends on how you time things, and I tend to kind of give people periods of time when I'm available and they're available. So I kind of
Mm-hmm.
schedule it. Yeah.
Gotcha. By the
Anyway,
way, I
what are
saw
you
you.
doing New Year?
I don't even know what New Year's is. Is it Wednesday?
I think it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow's Monday night?
I think
No,
tonight.
that's
Well,
wrong.
today it's Monday in here.
You have to understand, MJ. I'm not even. But New Year's for me means two things. It
Yeah.
means it was Jesus' birth,
Yeah.
his circumcision,
Yeah.
which is a holiday called Sylvester, which doesn't mean anything to me personally.
No.
And two, it means that on New Year's Day are the big football games for the college teams that I grew up in.
Fantastic. That's a
And
great reason for New Year, I think. Anything
yeah,
that
no, no, no,
changes as the
that's fine.
year as the year rolls over, I
I'm
think
not against it.
I think
You
it's
know,
good to, well, for me anyway, I can't speak for anybody else. For me, I think the new year rolling over gives me an opportunity to reflect, and that'll do.
hmm and there's also we have still a couple. We have today was the fifth night of Hanukkah, so we have three more nights
That's right.
and four more days.
For the first day,
Um,
for a long time, it hasn't been on Christmas Day, and it was the first day this year, wasn't it?
yeah, that's right. And you know what? See, we have a 13-year cycle.
Uh-huh.
Um, because basically you're trying to get the lunar and the solar to match up,
Of
and
course.
so we have our lunar leap years are we add a month,
Hmm.
okay, and this one is a leap year. So
Yay.
next year's it happens only once in the cycle where it actually falls out on Thanksgiving. And it might be next year because of how late this was this year, and
Nice.
plus we'll have an extra month coming. But that's kind of crazy too. Like they call it a Thanksgiving or something like that. But
I love an extra opportunity to say thank you, or to look at how things have been, or to consider how they might be in the future, or just literally to be in the now. Whatever it is, it's an opportunity to think about one of those states. Any opportunity to sit and think, frankly, is a gift.
I'll just say one thing, and I don't mean to interrupt, but you talk about reflecting and whatnot. I think I can't, of course, quote it word for word, but I think the best insight I ever got on sort of this idea of New Year's resolutions and sort of reflecting and making your goals, I really took away from some of the best times I've had with Pete and his sort of perspective that I left with him and he left with me, or however, great minds all think alike, right? But just that, first of all, not to think of it as like this finite thing, because otherwise, like, you trip on your goal, and then now what? You gotta wait a year. It's like
It's
you gotta
mad,
have
isn't it?
it's a full. You start every day your new goal.
Every single day is a new opportunity to be
Exactly.
exactly who you want to be.
Yes.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I do a study thing where we do one page, so it's two sides of one folio of the Talmud every day for 7.5 years, and then you finish
Yeah,
it. And
indeed. People
there's a
fall
guy
over.
now, who's doing a very popular. You can have different teachers for it, and this guy, his name's Eli Stamansky, who basically, if you commit to watch his YouTube on it, on that page of the day for I think like 4 to 7 days, he'll give you the English Hebrew volume that we're on that time.
Mm.
Okay, and he has embossed in it his theme, which is, and I'll have to translate it, but it's called Daf is a page and Yomi is a day, so it's called a page a day.
Mm.
And his theme, though, he flips it around. He says it's not about the Daf, meaning people will get stuck trying to catch up on those days they
No,
missed. You know, and he says
no,
it's about the Yomi. If you get
no.
caught behind, just skip ahead
That's
and
it.
just keep going, because otherwise you're screwed.
That's it.
Anyway.
Just keep going. It literally, for me, thank you for that. For me, the letting go of the shame and the blame of anything I didn't do had to go first.
I saw you live. I saw you live. Where was that? Was that on Instagram that I saw you live the other day?
Oh, I don't know. Could have
I
been
saw
all
I
over.
saw you're like flesh and blood.
Yeah, could have been
I
everywhere.
clicked something. I'm always clicking links.
Yeah,
You know.
good. Good. That's what I like to hear.
Well,
I
I hope I'll talk to you soon. I'm sorry to take over, but
That's all right. It's lovely to see you.
when I see it pop up and I had a
It's
rough day,
great.
but I say,
Well, I'm glad that you're
here we go.
here. I'm
Yeah,
glad that
thank
you're
you so
here.
much.
Good morning.
Hopefully I'll be back. Otherwise,
Yeah,
follow me.
I certainly
All right.
will. Bye, darling. Hey, James. I'll uh, I'll say thank you and good morning to Alexia and Jew. And we're quiet today, and that's okay. We're not on social media. People keep joining, so we're well, the other social media. So there we are. It was lovely to hear from Ariel, and it's great that he comes in and shares when he feels so. It's how it should be every day. So I was going to talk. Not been thrown or anything, but it's quite a challenge actually. But that's okay because do you know what? It's happening today. I think that what I was going to talk about today was that taking these action steps, these ideas that we should be go getters, not go getters or even go givers, but just be going, can be quite challenging when we feel like stopping. And actually, there's very often that we do need to stop. I've had to stop this weekend because I haven't been that very well. My throat's a little bit sore, so bear with me talking today if I do need to clear it. I think that happiness doesn't just come from thinking, it comes from doing. That's without a doubt. And why do I think that? Well, it doesn't matter how little the step is you're taking, whether it's that you're going to drink an extra glass of water or whether it's that today you're going to have something to eat. I'm just thinking about getting better from the weekend. All of those things might mean that you don't feel like you were going to do exactly what you planned to do. Well, I think there's two ways of looking at this. I think the first one is, as Ariel was talking about, not worrying about the deficit because actually the deficit isn't real. It's just an idea that you made up in your head for what you thought was your ideal. I would like to every day lift this many weights for this many minutes in order to achieve this result. For example, if you were going to weightlift, which I've just bought myself some adjustable weights, and so I'm thinking about that right now. Now, I've already started, and I'm going to go on to that in a minute. I think that when we allow ourselves to stop for reasonable reasons, like, oh, I'm not very well, or I need a break, my head is in law, actually, just to give an aside kind of note. And I do this, I'm just going to explain as well. The reason that I do divert is not because I'm not getting to the point, as was suggested to me in the last couple of days, but because I'm kind of sneakily teaching you something. That's what I'm doing. It sounds like I'm taking you on one side, but the reality is I'm sneakily teaching you something. Because in law, it makes no difference whether you are physically experiencing the inability to walk or psychologically experiencing the inability to walk. So if, like Alexia, you've broken your leg and you can't walk, then you can't walk because of your leg. If you are having a psychotic episode and you don't have the wherewithal, the capacity, the thinking capability to get yourself out of bed, in law, that is exactly the same. Now, the impact of that on the claim for mental health effects has been exponential. And frankly, so it should be, because then people will express what's going on for them. Once they do that, well, accepting what's going on is the first step to making it changed, right? If we just hide what's going on, it ain't going to get any better because we're not going to change our behaviour. So, whatever step it is that you're taking, or not, forgiving yourself for not doing, for whatever reason, physical or mental, then change can happen. That's the irony of being able to take actionable steps towards happiness, which is what we're talking about today. Taking actionable steps towards happiness. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that steps, whatever they are, which is a stop or a start. It can be, I am taking a step not to do that today. I'm taking a step to stay in bed because I'm not feeling very well, as opposed to what I planned to do, which was go into the sales and spend the vouchers I got for Christmas. That was just what I decided to do at the weekend. Stay in bed instead of going shopping, which is not something I enjoy, I can tell you. Although I have done, I've enjoyed the sleep and I've slept hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I've just been awake intermittently as opposed to asleep for just a few hours. So that's an actionable step I took to stop. Equally, I am taking actionable steps in the new year to open a space in Cardiff for inclusion. That's the not-profit that I started many years ago. An actionable step is to sign a contract, pay a bill, go in, make it look nice, and invite people in on actually Valentine's Day, because I love you all. I also love the fact that I'm taking actionable steps towards something that I would like to happen. But it isn't about something big like opening a shop. I mean, everybody else is closing shops, right? But I'm not. Just like everybody else is taking a day off today. And to be honest, well, I'm not. I'm not taking a day off because there isn't a day to take off. I think when you have an ikigai, which is the Japanese equivalent of your purpose, then taking actionable steps isn't about having a day off. It's about deciding what's good for you in this moment, whether it's a day on or a day off. Because actually, a bit like the wax on and wax off when you think about Japanese and mindfulness, it isn't about whether, it's about when. So for me today, there are ways that I can take actionable steps to move towards my goals, not necessarily booked coaching appointments, but definitely things I can do towards tomorrow, today. And actually, I thought it was New Year's Eve today. And here we are on the cusp of there tomorrow. And whilst most of us And I've heard it all the time. You wouldn't believe how many people I've heard this week say, on January the 1st, I'm going to. And I'm like, and okay. So it's like we gear ourselves up to being on or off, which I think is the problem. I think when we think about either stopping or starting as different to being actionable, then I think that's where our challenge lies. Because if we're the personal development field and we're on it all the time, even if it's on it to stop, I think the idea of either being differently preferential to the other is being, well, uh, probably judgmental on yourself, which doesn't help. That's what I'm thinking in the moment. So, the future, i.e., what you want, if you want anything at all, anything, surely is today. Because, well, this is the only day you're guaranteed, isn't it? Because yesterday's gone, can't fix that one, or do anything different to it, or go back to it. We don't know yet, but we can't. I don't know how to time travel yet. And in the future, we don't know it's going to happen. So the idea that we're planning is both fantastic and ridiculous, because actually the only plan we can have is now, surely, because it's the only bit we've got. Now that's, of course, we're all banking, aren't we, betting on the idea that we are going to be here tomorrow. And of course we should all be here tomorrow. It'd be marvellous if we are, but we're not all going to be here tomorrow, are we? Lots of people won't be. They're the people that won't make it through the day, and there will be those, and that's terrible, but none of them are going, I know today is my last day. But I think when the future's already happening today, if you want to write a book, open a book and write the first sentence. Or open your computer and write the first sentence. Just one, maybe. Maybe when you start, you'll write more than one, but just start, isn't it? I mean, what would it actually take for you to open up a Word document? And if you're listening to this, whilst you're listening to this, and write the first sentence of the book you're going to write. If you want to, like me, be a bit stronger so you can lift yourself up, why not? I don't know, you don't need to buy weights like I have. You could just stamp on the spot, or even jog on the spot, or sit up and down, or lay down and sit up. I mean, let's face it, the idea you've got to join a gym is just bananas, isn't it? It's not even true. You can just move. So I think stepping, metaphorically, into the life that you want, in my situation, because I use a wheelchair, doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, perfect doesn't teach us much, does it? I think that when you just do something different every day towards the thing that you want, the inevitable happens. And I've been testing this, and it sounds like a bit simple, because the reality is that that's obvious, isn't it? That when we do something again and again, um, towards something we want, you're going to get better at it, or stronger at it, or better at repeating it, or whatever it is. So eventually you'll get to where you're going. But how wild is it that we don't take that into account when we think about everything? I was talking to the girl I called my sister yesterday, and I said to her, do you know, if it was in my cupboard, I'd eat it. So I don't put it in my cupboard. Now that's not easy when you live with other people, and that's something else that I've talked about this morning actually with a friend, about living alone and the benefit of that for me, about independent decision making, about believing in my own decision making, about not being referential to other people's decision making, about not having their energy in my space all the time, if at all. And when I do, having it in my space at a decision based period of time, as I talked about New Year. I am deciding to go to places, I am returning when I choose, and I'm not staying longer than I depict. I'm making those boundaries because actually I can. And when I do, I'm so much better because I'm already in this moment. So for me, every step I take does matter. It's not about waiting till January the 1st because I don't know whether tomorrow is guaranteed. I don't have a guarantee. I don't know about you. So I'm not saying don't plan for tomorrow, because believe me, I'm already planning up to 2035, longer actually, 2040. But my definite plans are forming up to 2030. So I do look ahead, but equally, If I'm not planning this moment, then I'm missing a trick. The only trick there is, in my opinion, which is a moment in time to take actionable steps to or not to, but being accountable for those decisions and then standing by them. And actually, that means that when I don't do myself over, when I make a decision to halt a conversation that's not comfortable that I decide I don't want to play in, or to leave a party where I'm being encouraged to drink when being encouraged to drink at this time of year, I'm just going to say it quite loudly and proudly on this broadcast, that encouraging people to drink when in fact they have chosen not to is dangerous and callous and unkind and could cause the loss of life. Please don't do it. Allow people to do exactly what they should do for them, because for some people, moderation isn't possible. Many people, in fact, if it wasn't, we wouldn't lose so many people to alcohol every year, and that included my own father. So please be mindful this new year when you are not making a silly throwaway comment about encouraging people to have just one glass, when in fact that could be the beginning of a very slippery slope. So please don't. Much as New Year's about celebration for some cultures, it doesn't need to be about inebriation necessarily. And for those people that it's fine, that's great. But for those that it isn't, please don't be party to that. So, actionable steps towards happiness. And believe me, listen, in my younger years, I was probably guilty of saying such a silly thing. I've said some silly things and I've learned from them. So I just say, listen to that and think on. Um, but it's New Year, so I am thinking about actionable steps, and I feel good about already having got my weights, started my lifting, and made the decision this weekend not to do the same. I did a little bit actually with the lighter weights, but not to do the same. I didn't do the same. I made a decision to not do as much. But look, 24, 48 hours, and I am through what is quite a shocking yesterday. I felt on proper death's door. But I upped my reishi capsules, I upped the lemon water, I stayed in bed, I rested, I slept and slept and slept, and I hot and cold showered. And I think that, and I didn't eat when I didn't feel like it. And when I did eat, I ate well, good fat. Pardon me. So I am living proof that beginning to take actionable steps is just about trusting myself, deciding what I want. That's the first thing. The idea of Napoleon Hill's definitive, I can't even say it, the definiteness of purpose. That's what he calls it. It's one of the 17 principles. Says, know what you want, because otherwise you're not going to go and get it, are you? Be clear about what you want. Not who you want, or where you want, or why you want, but what you want. So, what you want for you, inside you. Do you want to be more authentic? Do you want to be stronger? Do you want to feel more energy? Do you want to experience greater periods of joy? Do you want to feel connected to other people in a greater way? Are you hankering after a feeling of knowing where you're going after this life, these 60 years and 10? Are those the things that you are seeking? Are you seeking a more comfortable experience whilst you're having this lifetime? Do you want not to worry about things? Are there things that you would like to put in place so that fear isn't something that you experience all the time? You know, in Isaiah it says, "Fear not." I've got a jumper that says so, so I can remember now where it says it. It says, "Fear not, for I am God." And I'm probably going to be called conceited here, and I'm okay with that. But I am means God. Therefore, I am God. Now, I don't mean by that in an arrogant way, look at me being the God of everything. I'm saying that I am my own orchestrator of my own experience. And as such, if I take an actionable step and I feel a greater sense of achievement, it's because I've made the right one for me, repeatedly probably, because I need to practice everything to get better at it, believe me. I wasn't born able to do anything. I don't know about you. I was a bit pointless when I was born. whilst I had everything within me, I certainly didn't know how to walk or talk or play, or I didn't know how to do anything. So I've had to learn everything, and I've had to do everything more than once in order to learn it. So, but when I learnt that I am means God, I'm like, well, that all makes complete sense. I am joyful, I am trusting, I am happy, I think happy is an interesting one. I am fulfilled, I am aware, I am connected. God is, I am. That's it. And the idea that we are all trying to aspire to be like God or like Jesus, because I think we water it down a bit. I think we're like, well, I don't think I can be like God. It's a bit conceited, hey. But it could be that I might be all right to be like my brother, like Jesus, like his son. It's easier to think about the idea that we can be like Jesus, isn't it? Or whatever God you're on about. So, our aspiration towards actionable steps to be happy is about becoming more like ourselves, more like God. And I think that that for me is New Year. Maybe a little bit deep, maybe a little bit like esoterical, might be a bit confusing for some people. But the point of me speaking is the fact that number one, we get together. But the other point of me speaking is that I speak it into becoming. Abracadabra means speak into becoming. So whether I'm speaking to one person or 200 people or 2,000 people or 2 million people or all the people in the world forever, it doesn't matter at this point because this energy goes out and it will land wherever it's meant to land, whenever it's meant to land. A bit like an alien spacecraft. It literally will, whether it's this year, next year, or in 10 years' time. It will land in the hands, in the ears of the right person for whom it was intended. And therefore, it doesn't matter when I say it, because as I've said before, time is just an idea. But literally, we have the steps to take today, whether they're stopping or starting, whether they're coming or going, whether it's things that you want to stop that you wish you'd not started, or vice versa. You've got the power, and it doesn't matter which it is. So, actually, as long as you are reflecting on what you're choosing to do, it doesn't matter which way you do it, whether you stop for a bit or you start for a bit, which I think takes the pressure off just slightly. So this new year, don't be too hard on yourself. If you're a bit poorly, take a rest. If you're feeling energetic, do something positive. If you want to start something new, start it now. Don't worry about New Year. Start it now. Just think about how great you'll feel on New Year's Day when you're like, yep, I've already done 2 days of that thing I was going to start. Look at me ahead of myself. And when I do that to myself, my brain's dead stupid, really. It's a bit simple. It's like, oh, look at me winning. There was never a competition, but I've made it such. So be in competition with yourself and nobody else. That's what I say this new year. And that's why I now feel motivated to take my actionable steps and why I'm here today and why I'm ready for today and why I'm excited about New Year and why I'm glad that I already thought it was New Year's Eve. So I've got some sparklers, I've got a nice candle, I've got a little popper for 12 o'clock. Ooh! And I nearly had some light up 2025, but they only brought me two numbers, so I sent them back. Obviously not meant to be because I'm not 50 or 5 and I only got a 0 and a 5. So you see, these plans aren't all meant to happen, but the rest of it did. So it might be 5. It could be. Anyway, I am going to leave it there and speak to 3 very important people, unless, of course, the beautiful Naomi can come up too, because we are indeed more than a quarter this morning on Monday, the 30th December 2024. And I've looked back at this day for 2 years running, and I'll tell you this, they just get better and better to be here. It's just more and more exciting. We have more and more exciting things going on. We really do. So I'm excited for the new year. How about you, James? How are you feeling about 2025? I can hardly believe that I'm saying it. How do you feel about walking into 2025?
Excited really because it did earlier this year look like walking movement might have been a problem just
Yeah.
thanks to a little misjudgment on
Breaking your neck.
yeah, I'm breaking my neck, you know. But people say I can be a bit of a pain in the neck. I know my mum might have said that once or twice, but I think I know these days she's my biggest cheerleader, and I think that in itself is a bit of a credit. I always just work on things I know I've got to change
It's
and
amazing.
move forward to in a better. There are some days when you just can't seem to find the answer And as you say, it's them days when you've got to just pause, like when you've got this horrible lurgy
Ah,
that a lot of people have had, this
mate.
cough and chest and
Yeah.
all the side effects that are minging with it. Oh, it's been everyone's had different versions of it. When I've spoke to people over the last few weeks, it's like I just need to clear. My throat's clearing a lot better today, but yesterday I was lagging. But I got up yesterday morning, looked at the machine, and it said 12 hours 35, and I had to tap it a little bit. I was like, are you sure about that? And then for the next hour, I was, well, it can't be right, surely, because I feel really energized, and I know when I've had 12 hours sleep before, when I was really depressed, I did nothing after it as well. And yesterday I got quite a few things achieved, but you've reminded me one of my biggest goals for next year across the year is to get my mileage up. And at the beginning of this year, for the first week, about the first week, every 5 a.m., I was going on almost an hour's cycle. And then I said to myself, you have to be in the house with the bike in the house at 6 a.m. because it's what I used to do with them daily 6 a.m. rooms
Yes.
that our good friend Pete used to run. And now I think, well,
Fantastic.
you have to definitely, at some point before Easter, achieve it consistently on a Monday morning.
Nice.
And then the rest of the week, well, that can fall into place within them parameters, really, because I think, right, and that's, I'm not going to instantly be doing that. I know that, and I can accept that. And that, as you say, is the biggest mistake a lot of people make, is they beat themselves up too much over, oh, I need to achieve this now, it's January the 1st. Well, after lunchtime, I'm going to go and pick the bike up because it's getting dark earlier, but it's 4 miles away, and thankfully there is a bus service today, which is wonderful that the bus drivers are working
Yes.
on a Monday for me. So I'm going to get the bus 4 miles away and then cycle back, and I'll have the bike and everything I need for me to, on New Year's Day, go for that cycle. Now,
Nice.
if it is frosty and foggy, I won't be going out till
No.
at least we've defrosted a little bit,
Of course.
I'm not a stupid cyclist,
No.
and there are a few of them out there I've noticed.
Yeah.
I try. My mantra with cycling is to think about the next cycle, so that means do this one safely, so that I can achieve the next one. No matter how long it takes, you get there eventually.
You do.
People know some days I'm late because of the road conditions with cycling. Most of the time I'm not, because I plan like you do, MJ. You plan in them segments,
Yeah.
your time management, and that's what I've learned from yourself, from Pete to Alexia, and just Julian's thoroughness as well, and his drive. That also comes into the picture when I think of how I wanna do my stuff. I get inspiration from the people that I've gathered around me now, and it's just beautiful to see that everyone's surviving different types of allergy at the moment. And I'll hand over on that before I start coughing and sneezing. And if I carry on any longer, me cycling mug with its hot coffee in won't be as hot. So I'll just read the mug, and it says number one pedal pumping cyclist, leader of the pack. And that was a lovely birthday present I got a few weeks ago from my friends at the food bank there.
Nice.
They said, we'll get you this for your birthday, so don't open it till then. And yeah, I was really made up with it. And it's funny, if I leave it in the cycling shop, everyone else makes themselves a brew in it, but I don't mind that as long as they wash it. And yeah, I'll hand over, and everybody have a beautiful day, and I'm excited to hear about your journeys next year, wherever it takes you.
Oh, do you know what, James? It's an honour to hear you, because the way that we've developed in our ability to speak and communicate and share and honour each other and have respect for each other is just, I think, through practice has become so much more powerful. We've got, would you believe, Australia and Nigeria in the house. We have another few countries as well. We have Sweden, we have Australia more than once, and then we've got everybody here on Clubhouse. I think that our reach is becoming intriguing for me. So I want to say thank you for the comments already, and for those people that are joining us right now. I think it's beautiful that we get to be heard and to hear them from all over the world. James, what you say about your recycling journey, recycling yourself, recycling your relationship with your mum, which I know has improved exponentially because of the work you've done on it. You becoming a cycle enthusiast that helps other people fix their cycles and get recycled cycles. So you work in the cycling charity in your area, that you're now working self-employed as well, that you've taken yourself from, well, let's just say it, incarcerated to free inside and out, to be honest, in your relationships and your development of those, in your management of your own self, and in those decisions that you're making to be your version of healthy this year coming, because that's the only version of healthy that we've got. If cycling for an hour on a Monday is what does it for you, do it, I say, and stick to it to yourself when it's safe, and you should, and don't do it when it isn't. And sometimes we'll make a mistake and we'll slip in the shower. We will. It's what's going to happen, and that's okay too. And I think that's the hard thing, is accepting that I boo-booed, it's okay, and now I'm back again. That's all it's about. It's about self-care and about self-acceptance, and then about agreeing that every day is a new day to make a difference, if you want to make a difference in what you're doing, and if you don't. And the other thing is, just stay accountable for that. So if anyone questions it, say, well, this is why I think it's like this. I think it's about owning what you've got. And I was listening to a referral voice message, a kind of a talk by Joe Dispenza this morning about women, actually. Why women, I don't know. It could be all people that live alone. And the power of that. Now, I worked out also that I'd not lived alone except for 3 months of my life. And that it was only 4 years ago that I moved out from my children, my partners, my everything, and lived alone. And believe me, it's actually the greatest thing I've ever done, because I've been able to have a focus of my thinking and decision making that is second to none, actually. And I didn't realise the power of that. Joe Dispenza was talking about the chemical and biomechanical power of that, and what he's seen in people's decision making capability to create lives that they want, and propensity to do well. So if you are beginning to live alone, or you're planning to live alone, or you've been living alone, the reason that you get better at making decisions is because you've been practicing it, as opposed to having to refer to somebody else's emotions. Wake up within their emotions. So whatever decisions you're making today, I would make them on your own, in your own space, in a little bit of meditation. I'll be honest. I know it sounds a bit woo-woo, but I think I'd prescribe meditation, to be fair. I think a bit like Japan. I think they do that there. Lots of people just wake up and do it. And they have to, because the boss says so. And I'll be honest, I think we all need to meditate, and I think we should meditate at the same time, and I think we should meditate together, because the reason those countries become so powerful is because the whole country meditates together. Just saying. There's a power in the collective. So I believe in meditation groups, and I believe in meditation circles, and I believe in meditation power and the group effect. And there's solid double-blind crossover research about when people think the same things together, that thing happens. But that's a different story for a different day. I hope you are taking all the intentions like James is, whether you're stopping or you're starting, and I can't wait to hear from the beautiful lady next to him, because I didn't think she'd be here. Alexia, good morning, my love.
Good morning. I wasn't sure whether I'd be here or not, but Spirit decided I would be awake in time of turning the alarm off, and I will leave it off till after the new year.
Yeah.
And it's actually doing me good, because I'm still getting things done.
Yeah.
I'm doing is allowing my body and my mind time to rebalance.
Me too.
But I think there's some important points that people need to find their way to understand and live with, is the fact that what you do comes back to you. It's actually a blog that's going out shortly is about today. Is what is your road? And for me, that means you're looking at the year ahead. Not everybody finds it easy to plan a long way ahead. I used to be able to do it really easily, but because of what's going on with the gaps in my brain, I find that difficult because my brain doesn't hold the information always. But when you talked about meditation is a beautiful way to take. It doesn't have to be an hour. It could be minutes. You can do a walking meditation if anybody really finds it difficult.
Exactly.
I will show you some simple ways you can do it driving your car. And that doesn't mean you're not watching the road. It just means that what you're doing, you're letting go of what's going on in your mind. And I think another point to remember is that even if you're the Dalai Lama, that doesn't mean he can completely switch his brain off. What you're teaching your brain to do, instead of it being like a runaway computer doing its own thing, you're getting it to work with you rather than sometimes to feel like it's working totally against you. So that is a beautiful way to spend time to allow you to heal. I want to give you an example, and I've told you about this, but I don't think I've ever mentioned it in the room. I've meditated for many years on my own, with music, without music, with somebody leading the meditation, either online or in person. I've done one this morning with no music whatsoever. And sometimes that feels like you haven't actually got anything out of it. But you do. Your body and your mind gets what it needs out of it. So it doesn't mean that you have to shut your mind down from what comes up. You just acknowledge that and let it go. I've spent many months in a Buddhist centre, and because I knew them well where I used to live, I was able to go in on a Sunday morning with the monks when they pray for an hour. And Buddhist monks, when they pray, they sing the prayers. So an hour of singing the prayers, well, it's tiring to the voice, but it was also beautiful as well. So you have the opportunity to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to live your life. And there's going to be times when there's challenges, even in the new year. Have your big goals, but break them down. Break them down to the hour if that makes it easier for you. Today's blog that's gone out, I haven't quite finished it yet, but some of you might have some comments. What's your road? And the picture is somebody growing his crops and a road, and reminding us that 2025 is coming. How are you living it? What are you doing to love you? Why is loving you important? What you do comes back to you. What does this have to do with your road of life? Loving you goes out to the planet and comes back to you. So what you put out comes back to you. Things change. I didn't know when I had the accident with the Omeo that I'd broken my leg, but it is quite a bad break. And I didn't know that until I saw the x-ray last time I went to hospital. So I don't know quite what the surgeon's going to say about that when he calls me in to do my knee, because I think he's got a bigger job than he thought he got. But that doesn't mean life stops. MJ just said that she's got herself some weights. I've used weights for a long time, but obviously as my leg has been deteriorating, it's not necessarily safe for me to do it, or not the way to do it. But the other point is, there's always a way of doing something. As you get older, balance can become an issue. Always has been a balance for me, because what I understand is going on with my brain. It doesn't always tell my body what to do. I think it has, and it doesn't, and I end up on the floor. But that doesn't mean I can't get myself up off the floor. It just means I've got to think about how I do it. But if I do it deliberately every day, get down on the floor and get up each time I do it, it gets easier. So when we run away from something, we don't make it easier. We make it harder to come back to and to deal with.
I agree.
But the most important thing we can never do in any situation is whatever it is, the love and kindness. Because when we stay in an area of fear and doubt, then what isn't right, that is what you feed back to you. I've seen that so many times. In meditation, I used to keep seeing what they call an esoteric library. That's a library that you can't actually see in physical terms, that you could walk into as a physical person. How the heck did I keep seeing an esoteric library? Then I met MJ. And MJ said, well, what did you want to do? Well, I always thought one day I'd go to university, but that'll never be possible. Well, it is possible. I am doing it. My first assignment is due on the 7th of January. So somewhere somebody was telling me that it's possible. It's possible for us to look after the planet. By looking after this planet, you're loving and looking after you. So showing love and kindness is one of the best ways we can help ourselves, because that feeds out to the planet, your family, your friends, and everyone else, and that changes the energy. So what energy are you prepared to change around you with love and kindness? And I will finish my talk there, unless anybody has any questions or comments.
I'll tell you what, I've always got questions and comments, because when we get together and we share, there's always things that I take and edify me. So I just want to say, it's more a statement really, that I always know we're better together, but every time I prove it to myself when we do get together, whether there's one person, 12 people, 200 people, 20,000 people, actually sometimes it's even more powerful when there's not millions, that the power of that exchange is motivation itself. What you believe and what you live every day helps me believe and live what I want to believe and live every day more and more. So where I can definitely beat myself up, that actually by you agreeing with me that being lovely and kind to myself is important, I then agree that being lovely and kind to myself is important. It's a symbiosis. So much so that I've got an appointment at 7 o'clock with the doctor to make sure that I've got what I need, antibiotics, whatever. So I only have another 10 minutes of just saying that straight, which is great because there's dew left. But honestly, I just want to say thank you, because Spirit obviously told you to be here, and I'm grateful to them, because actually I needed to hear that. And I needed to hear you, and I'm grateful that you're here today. So into this new year, we will stomp fearlessly and together, and I'm looking forward to 2025 because I've got you in it, Alexia. That's what's true.
Well, I just want to quickly say thank you to everybody who got you to bring me twice to make sure I was all right. But it's just taking that time for yourself sometimes, and I knew I needed to do that, so that's what I'm doing at the minute. I've got a minute with Chrissy, so I better get my act together, because I haven't clothes on yet. I'm still sitting in the Christmas cuddly things.
Yeah, that's what you should do. You should get on with your assignment. It's exciting. I love the fact you have somebody else to be accountable to. Good morning, Jew. I haven't spoken to you for a long time, about 40 minutes. 50, 60 minutes. An hour. Are you there? He's not there. He's gone. He has left. He has left. He's back. He's bobbing in and out. Good morning. He might be having a boo-boo. He's gone. He's here. He's flashing.
It's having that mic problem I had yesterday.
It's horrible, isn't it?
I had to shut the whole of Clubhouse down
Yeah.
for me
Yeah.
and then get it all back up. And it was a right palaver because I ended up doing it twice. And you was so lucky, MJ, when I spoke, I didn't have my usual variety of blessing words that Julian probably could produce. But yeah, Juice, so if you're able to shut down, not the computer, but shut Clubhouse down, leave quietly, then shut Clubhouse down. So you click on red, leave quietly, then shut Clubhouse down, and then re-put Clubhouse back in. And hopefully we'll see you in a minute, sir.
Well, indeed. And I just want to say, hey, Naomi, it's great to see you. And I'm looking forward to this doctor's appointment, I'll be honest, because I'm just realising that having spoken for nearly an hour, nearly, I'm starting to get hoarse. My niece wants a horse. I don't know how true that's going to be in her future, but she's definitely having horse riding lessons in the new year. So I think Fran's going to be talking all things horsing in the new year. It's all very exciting. I love the fact that I can vicariously watch my niece do horse riding because, of course, that's what I used to do. And actually, I found a horse riding stable in Brighton, not Brighton, that's miles away, in Bristol, which is still an hour. That I can horse ride, and I'm gonna get myself some lessons so that I can go out riding with her, because I think that's really important as her auntie to be able to get on my horse and help her do what she wants to do. So if Jew isn't going to come back, I'm going to close up by saying that I think that the way that we achieve happiness is by doing what we want, and by that I mean being accountable first and foremost to ourselves. And if we don't live alone, then I think the next best thing is to take some time for ourselves and to go inward and think about what it is we want. Once we've decided what our definiteness of purpose is, as Napoleon Hill would say, once we've decided what it is we want, even if that's a rest today, then we take actionable steps towards doing it. So if you're going to take a rest, clear your diary, turn the phone off, tell people you're not available, go and decide to get into bed or go to the spa or whatever it is where you're going to spend time on your own. Take those actionable steps. I have designed my day, and part of today is having a massage. No doubt I already planned the idea that I might be getting a bit anxious about all the social interaction tomorrow, but what I've actually done is planned it already. So I have a massage, and then I'm going out with some friends at tea time ahead of the curve so that I get into the spirit, because I believe that and I don't mean drinking. I mean, I believe that having a party, being in festival, being in that mode is a choice. It's why I believe that we should use the term Merry Christmas as opposed to Happy Christmas. Because Happy Christmas for me is I want you to make me feel like this, or I just want to feel like this. Merry Christmas is an action. We have to act in a merry way. We have to decide. We have to make a decision to do it. And I think that being happy is an action. It's not just a feeling. So I'm going to close on that. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as a result of your merriness. And if you weren't merry in the first place, I guess you better have a Merry New Year. And I hope then for a happy 2025. Go and be happy, because honestly, it's about the only thing there is. Love and kindness to literally everybody. I bless you. I thank you that we are trusting God, says Albert, and believing in him for his accomplishments and success in 2025. Albert, I agree with you wholeheartedly, particularly when I am means God. We are all aiming to become like God or like Jesus or whichever deity you follow, understand, or appreciate, whether that's yourself or somebody else. Literally, just be that and work towards it. And when you're not, accept that you're human. And when you are, celebrate that you made a difference to yourself. I love you all. I hope you have the most wonderful new year. And I'm going to go to my doctor's appointment now. Oh, Julian said he can't get in. That's probably not what he said, but I'm going to translate it as I can't do it. So I'm going to say goodbye and hope that he's not too sad about being able to say goodbye to us. I know he wishes us love and light as well, and a great new year. Happy 2025 coming, people. It is definitely your year. I can just tell you now. Take care.